Can you imagine if there was a miracle drug that helps you lose weight, slow down aging, prevent countless of health issues, and boost your memory, creativity, and focus? It would be great, right? And what if I told you that that drug actually exists? It's free, available to everyone, and yet most people are still not getting enough of it. That drug is sleep. I'm a psychologist who has spent countless of hours studying and researching how sleep impacts our bodies and our minds. And along the way, I have discovered all of the things that can help us improve our sleep. And today, I'm here to share with you all of my knowledge. Sleep, it's such a fantastic thing. I think we can all agree on that. But for some reason, only 33% of people in the UK reported getting good sleep. This is insane, because this means that most people out there are not sleeping enough. And personally, I think that this is a public health issue. Sleep affects so many things, from physical health, mental health, and even car accidents. This is why in this video I'm going to share with you all of my knowledge on sleep, including why you should sleep more and my 10 best hacks on how you can improve your sleep. I will use my knowledge gathered from this book, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, as well as my expertise as a psychologist who has done an entire uni module just on sleep, and I've also spent countless of hours helping my clients sleep better as part of my work as a therapist. I've also been on a sleep journey myself, trying to optimize my sleep, so I will also share tips from my own personal experience. Yeah, basically you won't have to watch another video on sleep after this one. So what are you even waiting for? Go and get pen and paper so that you can note all of this down, and whilst you do that, in case you don't know me, hi, I'm Brie. I'm a pre-qualified psychologist and trainee counsellor working in London, and on this channel I like to share insight from my life and my career to help you live a healthier, happier, and more productive life. So if that sounds like something that might interest you, then you should subscribe and stick around. Disclaimers just before we start. First disclaimer, if you suffer from insomnia, this video might not be suitable to your needs, and you may want to talk to a doctor or a therapist that can better help you with your specific problems. You might actually be interested in a TikTok I have recently made about a CBT technique that is frequently used with people suffering from insomnia, so you might want to check that out. My profile is linked in the description box below. Also, if you suffer from sleep anxiety, you might want to skip the first part of the video where I talk about why we should sleep, because some of the things I say might be very triggering for you. And equally, I know that I have mentioned the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, but if you suffer from sleep anxiety, that might not be the best read for you. So if that is your situation, I have left the timestamps below so that you can easily skip to the second part of the video where I talk about my best tips to improve your sleep. If you would like a content specifically directed to sleep anxiety, I've also made a TikTok about that, and again, you will find my link in the description box below. I'm actually being very active on TikTok recently and sharing more bite-sized content, so regardless, if you want to check my profile and follow me there, I would be very, very grateful. With this said, if you would like more long-form content on insomnia and sleep anxiety, then let me know, because I can also make YouTube videos about those topics. But after having done all of these disclaimers, without further ado, let's get into it. I want to start this video by giving an overview of some of the things that are impacted by sleep. Now, if this seems like a long list, bear in mind that this is by no means exhaustive. Sleep impacts countless of things, which I think will be impossible to put all in this video. In his book Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker talks about this topic more extensively, so if you would like to get a deeper overview, then maybe go and read that book. But in general, sleep helps optimize learning. We can divide our sleep in non-REM sleep, so deep and light sleep, and REM sleep, so rapid eye movement sleep. When it comes to learning, non-REM sleep helps consolidate facts and skills that we learn throughout the day, whilst REM sleep integrate that knowledge into other parts of the brain to help us with our problem-solving skills and just to help us approach our problems in a better way. This is why if you are a student and you have an exam the following day, maybe stay awake all night studying might not be the best idea, because without sleeping you wouldn't really have the opportunity to consolidate that learning and apply that learning to your exam, but also in the future when you're gonna have to apply those skills at your profession, for example. Also, sleep helps safeguarding memories by transferring them from the hippocampus, that is basically the part of our brain that records memories, to a long-term storage in our brain that is our cortex. If you miss the first night of sleep after memorizing something, you will lose that consolidation. Also, let's talk about dreams, because dreams are crucial as well. Some studies suggest that dreams may provide an overnight therapy. We usually dream during the REM part of our sleep, and during REM sleep our brain can retain the memories but detaching the emotional attachment to those memories. So let's say that during the day you have had an experience that was distressing. During this REM part of the sleep you will retain the memory, but the distressing emotions will be detached from the memory. So this is what helps you over time overcoming that initial distress. And this is why anxiety-provoking situations might feel less daunting after a night of sleep. Also, this fact made me think of something, because there is a particular trauma therapy called EMDR that uses eye movement to help people overcome traumatic experiences. That is a very effective therapy. Personally, in the future, I hope to qualify as an EMDR therapist, because I think it is a very, very fascinating branch of counseling and therapy. And yeah, I wonder whether EMDR maybe uses the same eye movement that we see in REM sleep that reduces the emotional sting from memories, which is basically what EMDR does. But that was just a personal reflection, it was nowhere in the book. I just had this random thought, but I will do some more research about it. In general, it is important to say that sleep, it is inseparable from mental health. Sleep disruption both accompanies and causes mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, PTSD, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. Sleep also stabilizes our mood and helps us control our emotion, and this is why sleep loss can cause emotional outbursts. So you might feel a bit more groggy, a bit more angry after you had a very bad night's sleep. Sleep also protects the brain from long-term mental health conditions such as Alzheimer's disease, and also it is very interesting because people that go on to develop Alzheimer's disease would, in the months before experiencing the first symptoms, have very disrupted sleep. And finally, it also helps reducing aggression and suicide risk. But also, even in terms of physical health, sleep is crucial. If you need to lose weight, for example, you need to sleep, because sleep regulates metabolic functions and weight regulation. And sleep loss is very much linked to not only overeating, but also reduced fat loss. That is because when you're sleep deprived, the modern brain goes in fight or flight mode. That is basically survival mode. She thinks that your life is in danger, and for this reason, you need as much fat as possible to preserve your survival. And on the other side, it also erodes muscles, which, if you're trying to change your body composition, is something that you really don't want. And in general, losing muscles is something that everyone should avoid, because our muscles are so important for our overall health. But sleep also supports cardiovascular health, and even 1 extra hour of sleep opportunity correlates with fewer heart attacks. This is especially important if you have a family history of any kind of cardiovascular diseases. Reduced sleep also accelerates cellular aging, which means that we age faster. It reduces fertility. For example, men that sleep less were also found to have a very low sperm count. And also some very very early research is linking sleep to some sort of reduction in cancer risk. And this is without even mentioning other things such as car accident. Did you know that driving while sleep deprived is almost comparable to driving whilst under the influence of alcohol? Yeah, let that sink in. The majority of car accidents are caused because the driver was sleep deprived. And thinking that 70% of people out there are sleep deprived, that is scary news for all of us. So now that we got all of this allegedly boring and nerdy part, which I personally love, out of the way, we can go to what you must be all interested about, that is, how do I improve my sleep quality? So I'm gonna be sharing with you my top 10 tips. Some of these tips I got from the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Some of these tips I have integrated personally in my life to improve my own sleep. And let me tell you, I've been on a sleep journey this year, and my sleep quality has increased massively thanks to some of these things. So tip number 1, don't nap after 3 p.m. Now, naps are generally good. There is a lot of research linked to, I think it's called biphasic sleep. That is the theory that as humans we have evolved to have 2 sleep, like 1 nap and then 1 proper sleep at night. So actually napping in the afternoon might be beneficial, but if you do that after 3 p.m. it might disrupt your sleep later at night. So if you need to nap after lunch, like before 3 p.m. Keep a consistent sleep schedule. I know you've heard this so many times, and I know it's boring, but it's true. It helps. It really, really helps. And I know that it's not feasible for everybody, okay? But modern brain doesn't really know the difference between the weekend. So for her, when you're sleeping over the weekend, you're just disrupting your sleep schedule. So if you can, try to wake up at around the same time every day. Maybe allow for half an hour, 1 hour buffer. But in general, try to keep it consistent. Something that really helped me with this was getting a sunrise alarm clock. I'm going to link my one in the description box below. It was one of the cheapest one, but I know that there are much better ones out there. But if you're like me and you can't really spend £200 for an alarm clock, then my one is very good and it's down below. Physical exercise, don't we all love to hear that? I know, I always mention exercise, and yeah, I'm sorry, it helps. It's very good for you. Please go to the gym or work out at home, whatever floats your boat. So aim for at least 30 minutes of exercise every single day, and ideally finish exercising 2 to 3 hours before going to bed. This is for a number of reasons. First of all, sleep increases cortisol, which is basically your stress hormone that puts your body into a fight or flight mode, so a survival mode, and suppresses melatonin as a result, because your brain feels that you're in some sort of danger, and if you're in danger, it's not really ideal that you go to sleep, so it will suppress your melatonin, that is your sleep hormone. Also, exercising elevates your body temperature and your heart rate, both of which should decrease before going to bed and should be at their minimum within the first hour of your sleep. And if that doesn't happen, you are going to wake up not feeling very rested. Sleepy drinks, in particular sleepy girl drinks, yes, love them, but there is a catch. Be very careful to the ingredients. I personally take this one from Shreddy Super Snooze. I think it's got great ingredients inside, and it had such a positive impact on my sleep. If you can't get this one exactly, then ingredients that are generally good for sleep are natural herbs like lavender, chamomile, ashwagandha, magnesium. Magnesium is very good for sleep. Obviously, before taking any of these things, check in with your doctor, especially if you are on any kind of medication. I have recently found out that some herbs like ashwagandha can negatively interact with some psychotropic medications, in particular antipsychotics. So if you are on any of that, please check in with your doctors before taking any of these supplements. I know that herbs are sold out as being generally okay for us and generally not harmful, but you never know how it can interact with your own body and clinical picture. So always be very careful about that. Let's talk about melatonin, shall shall we? Melatonin, yeah, this is where my rant starts. So people are taking melatonin too easily nowadays, okay? Melatonin is a chemical that we all have in our brains, okay? It's already there. Now, melatonin will start to be produced around 1 hour before you get to sleep. This is why keeping a consistent sleep schedule is important, because in this way your melatonin will be produced at the same time every single day and you're gonna get to sleep more easily. Taking a melatonin supplement basically stimulates the production of melatonin in your brain, and in this way you are going to fall asleep. I think melatonin has a time and place for certain people and certain circumstances. For example, if you are a shift worker and sometimes you work days and sometimes you work nights, so your sleep schedule is very, very disrupted, then taking melatonin might help. Also, if you're traveling and you're going to a different time zone, melatonin can help with jet lag. For example, I went to Malaysia in May and I took melatonin and that was very helpful. Also, again, if your sleep schedule is disrupted for any reason and you just want to keep that on track, then for a short term, melatonin might be helpful. In any other circumstance, you do not need melatonin. Your brain already produces melatonin. And actually, if you start taking a melatonin supplement, the modern brain thinks, oh, melatonin is already here. So why should I produce melatonin? Why am I putting all of this labor in producing melatonin if they're taking melatonin anyway? So why not stopping producing melatonin altogether? So what's gonna happen is that your brain is not gonna produce melatonin anymore, and that's when your sleep is going to be severely impacted. So people are taking melatonin like candies nowadays, and be very careful about that. Generally avoid it unless you are in a very specific circumstance that you have to take melatonin. And again, speak to your medical provider before taking it. I know that in the UK you can only get it under prescription. It's not the same thing in other countries, like in Italy you can get it over the counter. So be careful with melatonin. Just to keep talking about sleeping pills, be very careful when taking sleeping pills in general, even those that are labeled as natural and herbal pills. Always check the ingredients. Someone I know recently was taking some sleeping pills, and basically they told me that on reading the package they found out that like in the ingredient list there was ethanol. That's basically alcohol, which disrupts sleep immensely. So they were getting asleep faster, but the sleep was very disrupted because it's like they were having a glass of wine before going to bed, which, as we will see, it's not great for your sleep quality. So be very careful when taking any kind of sleeping pills and check the ingredients to make sure that there isn't anything that might affect your quality of sleep, because you don't want to just get to sleep, you also want to sleep well. Tip number 5, avoid large meals and a lot of fluids just before going to bed. Large meals can not only cause indigestion but can also elevate your heart rate, which, as we saw for exercise, is not good for your sleep quality. And also drinking a lot of water before going to sleep might cause you to wake up at night to go to pee frequently, which you don't want. Tip number 6, avoid nicotine, caffeine and alcohol. These 3 can severely impact your sleep. Both caffeine and nicotine found in vapes and cigarettes are stimulants, so they're gonna keep you awake. So avoid them before going to sleep. I mean, you should avoid nicotine in general in your life, but I'm not here to make judgments. So if you want to smoke, try to do that at least 8 hours before going to bed. Same thing with caffeine. Caffeine effect can last up to 8 hours, so try to have your last coffee not later than 2 p.m. In terms of alcohol suppresses REM sleep and it can cause fragmented sleep. So when you drink alcohol, you might get to sleep faster, but your sleep quality will be severely affected. So you're just gonna wake up feeling groggy. Tip number 7, create a wind down night routine. I love this because I love romanticizing my life. I do love a good routine. If you decide to create a night routine, try to include all of the things that relaxes you. So reading, maybe put some classical music, have a hot shower or hot bath, which in contrast to exercise can actually help your body temperature drop faster and can actually improve your sleep quality. Tip number 8, no screens for at least 30 minutes before going to bed. Ideally 1 hour, but if 1 hour sounds like too much for you, 30 minutes is ideal. Do I need to say a lot about that? I think we all know the effects that blue light has on our sleep. In particular, blue light can affect melatonin production. You remember melatonin, the hormone I had around just before? Yes, that melatonin. Basically, the way melatonin is produced is also based on light. So the blue light can suppress melatonin production, which means that you might struggle to get to sleep, or you might have a very disrupted sleep. Tip number 9, make your bedroom quieter, darker and cooler. You can get a room thermometer on Amazon. Those are usually quite cheap. I think I found some for like £10 or something. I think the ideal room temperature when you go to sleep needs to be around 18 degrees, something like that. Also, you might want to invest in a good quality sleep mask. I personally use this one from Browsy. This is all mulberry silk and I absolutely love it. It's like a hug for my face. It is a bit on the pricier side. I think I paid £60 for this or something. So if you can't afford that, there are other sleep masks on Amazon which are quite good and get quite good reviews. So you might want to check those. I have also invested in Loop Dream earplugs, which again are a bit more on the pricier side. I think they're like £40 or something when I got them, but I am a side sleeper and these are extremely comfortable, and also you don't have to change them as frequently as you do with like disposable earplugs. So I felt that it was a good investment, but again, I'm sure you can find cheaper versions of this on Amazon. They also make everything quieter, but they don't block sounds completely, which would just give me anxiety, but they have definitely improved my sleep quality. I personally also use a mouth tape, and I use these ones. They're actually finished and I need to rebuy. But yeah, these ones are very good. These actually have like a lavender smell. They are very cheap. They're like £5 to £10 depending on the color you get on Amazon. I really love them. I think there are much more expensive mouth tapes that I've saw online, but this one are very good quality, and considering that I have to purchase this once a month, I'm not gonna spend £30 a month for like mouth tape. These are not gonna be helpful for everyone. I've just recently discovered that I am a mouth breather when I sleep, and I don't know if it's a new thing. I never thought that I was a mouth breather, but I was waking up with my mouth and throat being very sore and dry. So I tried these mouth tapes and they have improved my sleep a lot. So if you also need mouth tape, those are good ones that I use. None of this is sponsored, by the way, like none of my videos are, because I have like less than 1,000 subscribers, like literally nobody's watching these videos, which is bad news for me but great news for you, because all of this is things that I generally like bought and use, and these are really my favorite things. Tip number 10, invest in good quality bedding. I have put this at last because it does require some financial investment, which I know it's not accessible to everyone, and please don't feel like you have to sleep well, okay? Literally, that's absolutely not needed. Unfortunately, there are things that are more expensive that are going to improve your quality of sleep. That is unfortunately the reality in our society. I'm also not saying that you need to buy all of this at once, but maybe a little by little you might swap some things that you have with some more good quality stuff. An investment that I've recently made using a Black Friday discount or something was to get some very good quality pillows from a brand called Cloud Pillow. I'm gonna link it below, but very good quality pillows. If by the time I post this video the offer is gonna be up, then you might want to check that out. But I've also saw other things like duvets and cotton or silk bed sheets, but even good quality pajamas. So I personally love 100% cotton pajamas, but those are just things that might help you sleep. It's not things that you definitely need. So just make some consideration before making these investments, and as I said, maybe start swapping things little by little. We can't all afford to spend like whatever £1,000 just to sleep better. I'm aware of that. So make your consideration, but it is something that you might want to think about in the future. And this brings us to the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I could be talking about sleep all day. I love sleep. It's incredible, but Anyway, let me know in the comment if you find that helpful. If you want to support this channel, you can leave a like, you can buy me a digital coffee through the link that I left in the description box below. You can also follow me on my other socials. I've got Instagram, I recently learned to use TikTok, so you might see more of my face there as well. I also have a newsletter. And if you like this video, you might also like my most recent video on journaling, which was actually a requested video, and I talk about basically all things journaling. It's like a journaling 101 lesson. You can find that here, or you can watch this video here that YouTube has picked up just for you based on your personal interests. So I will see you over there, or I will see you in my next video. Bye!